In this video, I'd like to talk about the math question of the day for Monday, April 24th, 2023. And with this problem, we need to write the following sentence as an equation. 4 subtracted from 9 times a number is equal to 23. And questions like this, you may be exposed to them in grade school, maybe 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, though you might see this in Algebra 1 for the first time. It just depends on the order in which you learn the material. So at this point, go ahead and pause the video, see if you can work through this on your own, and when you're ready, unpause the video and we can go through this together. Now, assuming that you have attempted the problem, let's start working through it. And since we need to write this sentence as an equation, we will need to define a variable. In particular, when we're referring to a number here, this can be our variable. We can say that x is a number or the number that we're looking for. And we just need to work out how to write this as an equation. We have 4 subtracted from 9 times that number x, and that will be equal to 23. And we know that subtracted from, we'll use the subtraction sign. We know that when we say times, 9 times a number, we're dealing with multiplication. And when we have is equal to, we can use an equal sign from that. So let's start with the right-hand side. It's equal to 23. Let's write that in. That might be the most transparent part of this. And for the left-hand side, it might be a little bit complicated. We have 4 subtracted from 9 times a number. So we're taking away 4 from this product of 9 times a number. And since we called a number x, we really have 9 times x. We won't use our multiplication symbol since we're using x here as our variable. We can use a dot for multiplication, or we can just write 9x to represent 9 times by a number. Though, again, if you feel more comfortable, you can certainly put a dot there. Though I do highly discourage using the multiplication symbol, this times symbol that is usually taught early on, since x is probably the most common variable that is used when first learning the basics of algebra. So we have 4 subtracted from 9 times x. We're taking away 4 from this quantity, which means we will subtract 4 there. And this right here will be the equation that we can gather from these words here. We have 9x minus 4 is equal to 23, but this should make sense. We have 4 subtracted from 9 times that number. We're taking away 4 from 9 times that number, or 9x, and that is equal to, we have our equal sign, 23. Now, if you want, you can even solve this equation, though that's not part of the question. The question is just to write the sentence as an equation. Though if you do want to see how this is solved, we want to isolate the variable term. We want to cancel out this subtraction by 4, since ultimately our goal is to find x equals something. We're looking for that number. And you might be able to guess what it is by just plugging in different whole numbers, but sometimes it's a fraction and that guess and check technique does not work. So when solving equations, we need to think in terms of opposites. We want to cancel out this subtraction by 4 so we can isolate this and then cancel out that multiplication by 9. But to cancel out subtraction by 4, we can do the opposite. We can add 4, though we will need to do it to both sides of the equation, otherwise we change the equation. So we have 9x minus 4 plus 4, that's 0. So 9x plus 0, or just 9x, is equal to 23 plus 4, which is 27. And let me just rewrite it up here. Now we have 9 multiplied by our variable x, and this is equal to 27, but our goal is to get x by itself, so we need to cancel out multiplication. And to do that, we can do the opposite. We can use division. We will divide each side by 9. Since 9 divided by 9, or anything divided by itself, is always equal to 1. So we have 1 times by x on this left-hand side, and 27 divided by 9 is 3. 1 times anything is itself, so x is simply equal to 3. Or in other words, that missing number that we were looking for is 3. And with that in mind, we can check that this makes sense. 4 subtracted from 9 times 3 is equal to 23. And we know 9 times 3 is 27, and 4 subtracted from 27 is 23. So the nice thing about these equations is that once you find an answer, you can plug it back in and see if it actually makes sense.